Tess.
Hi.
Oh, great. Bunny.
I don't usually have a bunny on my desk. It was my birthday a few days ago.
No kidding. Mine's next Tuesday. How old?
30.
Really? Well, I'll be 30 next Tuesday. We're practically twins.
Melanie Griffith plays a secretary competing on Wall Street with her boss Sigourney Weaver in Working Girl. It's one of 5 new holiday movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel Ebert. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie this week is Working Girl, and this is one of the most entertaining movies of the year with one of the best performances. The performance is by Melanie Griffith as a 30-year-old Wall Street secretary who thinks she's smart enough to be a broker instead of just working for one. But maybe she went to the wrong school, or maybe she talks the wrong way, or maybe, and this is one of the great lines in the movie, maybe her hair isn't serious enough. The movie opens with Griffith meeting her new boss, a woman played by Sigourney Weaver.
I've never worked for somebody who's younger than me before, or for a woman.
Well, there's a first time for everything. That's not going to be a problem, is it, Tess?
No.
Good. Why don't you pour us a cup of coffee, then come on inside. I'm light. No sugar.
Before long, Weaver conveniently breaks her leg and is laid up in a hospital. Griffith believes Weaver was in the process of stealing one of her own ideas for a great deal, and so, daringly, she impersonates a broker and meets another broker played by Harrison Ford, who is instantly attracted to her.
We're in a business deal together now, and I just don't think that we should get involved that way. My life is real complicated as it is.
She gets a little drunk, but she's still determined to land that big deal, and she still thinks that this is the guy to do it with.
I have a head for business and a bod for sin. Is there anything wrong with that?
Meanwhile, her former boyfriend, a guy named Snake, doesn't much like her new hairstyle or her new sense of independence.
You look different.
Yeah, well, I'm not the same pathetic, trusting fool that I was a couple of days ago.
Hey, Des, how you doing?
The secretary's masquerade is almost revealed when Harrison Ford turns up unexpectedly in the office. Griffith convinces another secretary to play her secretary.
Mr. Jack Trainer to see you, Miss McGill.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Hold all calls, Miss McGill.
Yes, Cynthia, thank you.
Can I get you anything, Mr. Trainer? Coffee, tea, me?
Working Girl develops a wonderful combination of comedy and tension in its closing scenes, where the masquerading secretary sits down at a conference table with some high-level executives and she pitches her deal. Melanie Griffith is wonderful in this role from beginning to end. She strikes exactly the right balance between goofiness and seriousness. At the beginning of the movie, she doesn't have serious hair or serious anything else, but by the end, she's able to hold her own with anybody. Working Girl was directed by Mike Nichols, and it is 21 years since he made The Graduate, about a young man named Benjamin who didn't want to get ahead in business. Now times have changed, and here is another wonderful Mike Nichols film about a young lady named Tess who does.
It's a terrific picture. It's an old-fashioned kind of story, Woman of the Year, Katharine Hepburn kind of story. It's been updated to Wall Street, and it is done beautifully. I mean, there isn't a thing I can fault about the picture. Harrison Ford is just fine in this sort of workmanlike kind of role. Sigourney Weaver is great as the villainess. She really does a wonderful job. And Melanie Griffith is, I mean, this is the best performance of a already pretty distinguished young career. And the picture is just thoroughly entertaining, old-fashioned quality movie making.
What it does, it puts two things together. It puts together this notion of the young woman with pluck and determination who wants to get to the top. It puts it together with this clockwork plot that involves who appears, when they appear, the timing, the door bursting open, the unexpected entrance, and all of that stuff really pays off at the end with one big laugh and one big suspense moment after another.
Well, I'll tell you, it also pays off with a final shot, which I won't give away, a final shot that is one of the most interesting choices in the way to end the movie that I think will have people talking about what it all really means. Our next picture is called I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka, which tries to parody the old blaxploitation films of the 1970s in much the same manner of Airplane with the disaster movies or The Current Naked Gun with the TV cop shows. I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker is not in the same league as those other films. The jokes don't come fast enough, but there are still plenty of laughs, especially if you remember those old posturing movies fondly. Bernie Casey stars with writer-director Keenan Ivory Wayans as a couple of dudes out to bring down the town's white Mr. Big. Old pro Jim Brown is part of the pickup gang who comes out of retirement to help.
Well, what makes you think you can be a black hero.
I'm an ex-football player.
One of the many outrageous parodies is a visit to the Big Brim Bar, where an oversized pimp hat is your ticket of admission.
Excuse me, gentlemen, but you gotta have big hats to come in here. That's the rules of the house. I think you're gonna make an exception this time, brother. All right, okay, yes, sir, yes, sir.
In the silly conclusion, Jim Brown has a problem with his foot, and the action heroes have trouble knocking over Mr. Big until one of their mothers comes to the rescue.
I can't go alone. You're down, and Celine's not here. I can't. Hey!
Ain't nobody shooting my baby.
Ma! Why you promised?
I know I promised. What am I supposed to do? Stand by while they kill you? Come on, get out of here. Follow me.
No, you follow me.
Follow me.
I don't care who follows who. If y'all step on my bunion, I'll kill both of you.
The jokes are true to the genre. The film has a good sense of humor about itself. I wish the pacing were faster, but I laughed more as the film progressed. Thumbs up for me for I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka.
Thumbs down for me. The movie was written and directed by Keenan Ivory Wayans, who did a lot of the screenplay for Robert Townsend's Hollywood Shuffle, a funny movie about black stereotypes in the movie.
Right.
This movie is not funny. It's not intelligent. It doesn't have anything new to say about the blaxploitation genre, and basically it's offensive from beginning to end.
I don't find it offensive at all, Roger. I mean, these people are making fun of something that was a little bit silly when it first came out.
You can make fun of it, Gene, in the way that makes fun of it, but actually what they're trying to do is have it on both sides of the street. They're trying to use it while making fun of it.
This is not an attempt. At first I thought, you know, when the film first started, I thought, well, they're making another black action picture, you know, but 15 years later. But then they start to parody it, and it's just, there's no difference here. There's no difference here in the attitude or any of the stereotyping than with the Naked Gun or with the airplane movies. It's just that the pace, I think, should be faster.
Well,
but this is a very entertaining
There is
picture.
a difference in it. It has a great many very, very negative stereotypes about blacks.
But
even
having
apart
fun.
from
They're
that,
having fun with the stereotypes.
What great fun.
I mean,
what great fun making fun of a race of people. But even apart from that, Gene, it's not funny.
Well, Roger,
it flops dead
when
on the screen.
when I'm laughing, you can't tell me it isn't funny. When you're not laughing, it's very hard for me to tell you
When
you're
you're laughing, I can tell you it's not funny, but you're laughing. That's what I can tell you.
No, well, I'm telling you I
Coming
laugh.
up next, Rain Man with Tom Cruise is a wheeler dealer who is slowed down by the discovery that he has a brother he didn't know about, a mentally handicapped brother played by Dustin Hoffman.
Well, we'll have to let you drive sometime.
There's Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise as two brothers who meet for the first time only after their father dies. Cruise plays the younger brother, a freewheeling Los Angeles car dealer, and Hoffman plays the older brother he never knew he had, a brother who has spent his life in a mental home trapped inside the disease of autism. Hoffman can listen and respond and speak and follow a routine. He's known as high-level autistic, but you can never be sure what he's thinking or even for sure if he's thinking. This is something Cruise discovers during a cross-country trip they take together. Like some autistic persons, the brother, named Raymond, is amazingly good at almost impossible mathematical tasks.
Ray, do you know how much the square root of 2,130 is?
46.15192304. 2304.
He also turns out to have memorized the local phone book.
Sally Gibbs, Sally. 461-0192.
How did you know my phone number?
How'd you know that?
Should read the telephone book last night. Gibbs, Sally. 461-0192.
The movie's surprise development comes in Las Vegas, where Raymond turns out to be a natural card counter at the blackjack tables, even though he doesn't even really understand the concept of gambling.
You want to hit? No, you don't want to hit where you've got 18.
Want to hit.
So you have 18. You don't want to hit. He doesn't want to hit. Hit me.
Want to hit.
Hitting 18. He doesn't want to hit. Don't. You took my queen, Ray. I've got a 10. I need that queen. I can't take your queen.
Sir, please don't touch the cards.
I need my own queen, Ray.
There's lots of them.
There's lots of them?
Lots and lots of them.
Hold on here for a second. I'm gonna double down.
Queen.
Yes, sir. You gotta love this town.
And And they drive the casino bosses crazy. The guys are looking down at this table trying to figure out what's happening. They can't believe this guy in his mind can keep track of a 6-deck shoe. If Rain Man were some kind of soft-hearted disease of the week movie on television, the Dustin Hoffman character would probably get hit on the head and suddenly develop a normal personality. But that doesn't happen in this movie. He is autistic, and he will always be autistic, and the person who changes is the brother, played by Tom Cruise. He's a hard-driving, high-living fly-by-nighter who has never paused to care much about other people, but during their long days on the road together, Cruise learns patience and acceptance for the first time. You might think the material in this movie would be impossible to handle, but Hoffman delivers a perfectly modulated performance, and Cruise deals with him without getting sentimental. The director, Barry Levinson, turns it into a surprisingly entertaining movie that actually does have something to say.
I think you hit on it with the lack of sentiment, or at least the overt sentiment in this movie. I mean, you know, typically we see the mentally ill portrayed as, you know, cute and cuddly, and isn't it too bad? Or either that or some kind of horror kind of freak syndrome. This picture plays, Hoffman plays a character dead on, and it's really a thankless role that I think only a star of his caliber, and there are a few others, De Niro will do it, Nicholson will do it, where they'll play unlikable characters, or not easily, certainly this guy you can't grab a hold of, and we're in the audience trying to grab a hold of this guy, so we feel Cruise's frustration, and of course the greatness, I think, is Cruise's performance. I think this is his best role today.
Yes, it is, yes.
I mean, it may be risky business, but that's another kind of picture, but here is a full scale, and again, modulated is the right word because for him, because he goes through a slight change, and you see it honestly earn the change that he goes through. He's extremely frustrated. He thinks the brother's faking it. We're not sure what's going on there for a while even.
It's a fascinating process because, you know, the rule is that fiction is about change.
Right.
So here's a two-character piece in which one of the characters can't change and will never change.
And one doesn't want to change.
And one doesn't want to change.
Yeah.
And so that he wants the other one to change.
Yeah.
So that it becomes an extremely thought-provoking confrontation between the two.
I liked it very much as well. Coming up next, Torch Song Trilogy, Harvey Fierstein's award-winning play about gay life in the 70s.
There's nothing I need from anyone except for love and respect. And anyone who can't give me those two.
They looked unusual, and singing through a megaphone certainly made them sound unusual. And that was the key to their success. Winchester Cathedral by the new vaudeville band hit #1 today, December 18th.
The gay community with his off-Broadway play called Torch Song Trilogy, a somewhat autobiographical story of the trials and tribulations of a drag queen. The play was bold then. Except for a couple of scenes now, however, the material seems dated, and what didn't work in the play doesn't work on the screen. The best moments still occur when the talented Fierstein simply looks into the camera and talks about himself.
You know, there are easier things in this life than being a drag queen. But I ain't got no choice. See, try as I may, I just can't walk in flats.
Fierstein's first big romance is with a bisexual man named Ed, who stands him up on his birthday, so Fierstein confronts Ed in Ed's apartment.
Arnold. Please.
Hello.
Hi, Laurel. This is Arnold.
The second big love in this three-act affair is Fierstein's young model friend, played by Matthew Broderick, who is drawn to Fierstein's wit, but Fierstein is scared of being burned by him.
Look, can I take you to dinner? Sort of make up for last night?
Free chow, you got my vote.
Oh, thanks. Maybe another time, huh? We really got to run.
The movie really collapses, I think, in the final sequence when Fierstein adopts a 15-year-old boy and his shrewish mother, archly played by Anne Bancroft, thinks her son is sleeping with the kid.
I need to talk to Arnold.
You could call the school. He had to meet with my principal.
You mean real people know you live here?
Why not? Lots of people live with their fathers.
Live with their what?
Their fathers. Hi, Pop.
Anne Bancroft is over the top in most every scene in this picture. The best moments, as I said, are the confessionals straight in the camera. I wish there were more of them in this picture. I did enjoy some moments with Ed, played by Brian Kerwin, but the rest of the passionate story left me cold. The film chooses not to deal with the subject of AIDS, but it's what's in the picture that doesn't always work well.
I liked it a lot more than you. You know, I haven't always been a fan of Anne Bancroft because I felt that she is sometimes a little bit over the top. Yeah. Here, I thought she was right on. She is obviously playing the mother of this son. Both of them are people who are very dramatic, who are very demonstrative, and I think they match well, especially in the last confrontation that they have. I also liked his performance, this rasping voice, this confidence that masks a great deal of shyness and insecurity, this cynicism and irony that masks all of the hurts that he's had to put up with, and the way that he deals with the death of the one person who really loved him the most. I think it's a very powerful human story, and I liked it. I know there are problems here and there with it. The adoption didn't work. I didn't feel that was realized correctly, but I think it's a good movie.
I think he is the strength of the film. When he is on screen, that's why I say the monologues. When he does himself alone and he talks about the various issues that you have, you know, at that point it really doesn't become a gay play at all. It becomes just a human story about people who, a person who is insecure.
Well, it's not a gay play anyway. It's about people who are in love with each other that happen to men.
I understand that, but my point is I don't think that the specifics of the way it works out in the story work at all very often.
I loved all those little touches, like one morning he jumps up to make himself look good in the bathroom mirror and jumps back into bed again before his lover wakes up. That kind of insecurity, that kind of inside glimpse of that kind of feeling was very touching.
I think that's touching, but I think he shows that insecurity in his opening monologue, and I don't learn anything more about his character than I do in the opening monologue. I think
you have to go ahead and have a story. You just can't have a monologue 2 hours.
Well, that would be interesting to see. I think it can be done.
I don't know if that would work or not. Coming up next, Haunted Summer, the story of a fateful summer in the lives of 5 extraordinary people.
Tell me about...
Second movie within a little over a year about the same summer vacation. A summer in Italy in June of 1816, when the great British poets Percy Shelley and George Gordon, Lord Byron, spent some weeks together sharing a villa with Shelley's lover Mary, her half-sister Claire, and Byron's doctor, who kept them all supplied with drugs. Although Byron and Shelley now reside in respectable volumes on the poetry shelves, they were in their age the equivalent of rock stars, and the movie follows them as they experiment in romantic decadence. During one of many wine-soaked luncheon conversations, Shelley, played by Eric Stoltz, argues against power and in favor of revolution and anarchy.
We have beheld such scenes of heartbreaking misery and poverty at home and in Ireland that at times my whole being shakes with a hatred so strong it seems to smother my very life. Man's unhappiness is caused by the evils of power and his obedience to it.
Well, that's a noble sentiment, and Byron seems to agree, but the revolutionary aristocrat turns out to have a healthy regard for his title, his position, and his power when Claire, played by Laura Dern, becomes pregnant with his child. He offers her a cruel choice.
The child or my name, you cannot have both.
Could I visit it? No.
He can stay with us as my own.
That is Philip Anglem as Byron. Haunted Summer comes close on the heels of Gothic, the hysterical and psychedelic movie of April 1987 by the tempestuous British director Ken Russell. This version of similar material was directed by the more thoughtful Ivan Passer, a Czech who has been working in America for the last 20 years. But both films have the same problem. They deal with the childish and perverse behavior of these characters without convincing us of their importance. Byron and Shelley were important, of course, and they still are, to me anyway, and to a lot of other people, but these movies prefer to see them as the first hippie flower children, and a little of that goes a long way.
A little of it does go a long way. You know, as this picture was rolling along, I was fascinated by the Shelley character, particularly as it portrayed by Eric Stoltz, the boy who was in the mask, in the movie Mask. I think he does a wonderful job. And then, unfortunately, Byron comes into play here, and I think turns the movie into more of a decadent show than really about the greatness that we're, just what you said, the greatness of these two people. I almost wish that the movie was about just Shelley, because his character did seem in his speeches, and right up into that point of the speech about revolution, it's quite a beautiful movie. Then it turns into a sexual escapade that is beneath, frankly, their real lives.
The whole thing about this summer, which is, of course, played up both in Gothic and in this movie, is that it was during this summer that Mary Shelley first began to develop the concept of a monster that came out in her novel, Frankenstein. The notion that you could create a Superman, but that the Superman would turn upon you. This is a very modern idea, and so they put it into the movie, but in the meantime, everybody's just dancing around as if it's San Francisco, you know, and The Lovin' Spoonful should have been on the soundtrack.
Right. Well, that might have improved it. Let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this show. 2 thumbs up for Mike Nichols' Working Girl. Girl, a wonderful rags-to-riches story featuring a great performance by Melanie Griffith as a secretary on Wall Street. A big split on the blaxploitation parody, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka. I had a nostalgic laugh at the material. Roger found it offensive. Two big thumbs up for Rain Man, with two superior but very different performances by Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman as two very different brothers. Another split on Torch Song Trilogy. Roger liked the honesty of the drama. I mostly liked Harvey Firestein's soliloquies into the camera. And finally, two thumbs down for Haunted Summer, another rendering of the decadent time spent together by two great romantic poets. So we have two very fine films, at least, and that is Working Girl and Rain Man.
And also, I think, Torch Song Trilogy. This is that time of year when you get all the big Christmas pictures opening. It's almost like an embarrassment of riches. There are more coming next week. There were some last week.
Right.
And you almost wonder, where were these movies when we needed them last August? You know?
Why can't they make them this way all the time through the year?
Wouldn't that be nice? That's it for this week. Next week, we'll review The Accidental Tourist with William Hurt as a grief-stricken travel writer who is left by his wife, Kathleen Turner. We'll also review Oliver Stone's new film, Talk Radio, starring Eric Bogosian, and the story of a talk show host on the borderline of self-destruction. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Raisinets and Goobers are playing everywhere, starring plump, juicy raisins and great golden peanuts. Both now feature creamy Nestle milk chocolate. Sony videotapes. For taping your favorite movies, trust Sony Dynamicron ES. Whatever your videotape means, there's only one name to play back, Sony. A great gift idea for VCR owners. The bigger-than-ever 1989 edition of Roger Ebert's Movie Home Companion. Tap and Sure Cook Space Saver Microwave is perfect for kitchens where space is at a premium. Tap and touch solid-state controls and automatic temperature probe.